islands of the Caribbean, a string of tropical atolls, many with lush green mountains towering above white sand beaches, and all surrounded by crystal clear waters teeming with a host of exotic and colorful creatures. So beautiful are these islands that some, in their efforts to attract tourism, call themselves America's paradise. And who's arguing, as hundreds of thousands of us descend on these delightful destinations every year? All, that is, except one, the island of Hispaniola. Though close to our country, there are few, if any, tourists to be found here. Oh, it has lush green mountains and a lovely Caribbean coastline, but half of it also has a history of hopelessness, the half called Haiti. Haiti is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. Its per capita income less than $150 a year. And since the Organization of American States embargo, even that paltry sum has been reduced. The embargo was instituted to pressure Haiti's military regime into restoring the country's democratically elected president. But ironically, instead of hurting the military, the embargo has only weakened the people over whom they rule.
If the embargo were lifted, then industry could come back, they would have jobs, and they would be more willing to stay in their own country. They would be able to provide for themselves.
Buddy Johnson is one of the scores of American missionaries still working in Haiti. A field representative for Feed the Children, he says the embargo has backfired.
It's not hurting the people that they're meant to affect at all. It's only hurting the poor people. In this compound that we're in right now, there were 3 different industries. They're all closed. All the buildings are locked up.
And the scene is the same throughout the country. With hundreds of businesses and factories closed down, their supply of goods and raw materials suspended by the embargo. The only people to profit, the merchants, who enjoy fabulous markups on black market goods, including food, smuggled in. The many who can't afford it must beg for it. Haiti. At first glance, it's as beautiful as any Caribbean island. But look closely and you'll see it can be very ugly. Here is where the ugliness of suffering and illness is concentrated, in a place that is consecrated. Good Samaritan Hospital in the town of Limbae. It is the only hospital in the region to serve some 1.6 million Haitians. Heading its tiny, overwhelmed staff, missionary Dr. Bill Hodges, who must decide every day which of the hundreds who show up need immediate treatment or must be turned away.
What you do every day, finally you get used to doing. There's a lot of work in this world that's not very pleasant, actually. People in other countries, the people that have to decide between cases of justice and other things, and you do your best. That's all you can do as a Christian and as a gentleman, you hope.
Since the Organization of American States imposed an embargo on Haiti, Dr. Hodges and hundreds of other missionaries throughout the land have been virtually stranded, their supply lines cut, save for a few. Every week, and sometimes twice, a group of aviators load a small cargo plane in Sarasota and take off for Haiti. They are flying missionaries, and though affiliated with different churches, their calling is the same, to answer the terrible cry for help from Haiti. They call themselves Agape Flights. Agape means love of God. That, a love for flying and for the people of Haiti, is what keeps these volunteer crews at these controls week after week, year after year.
Started off, I was a missionary in Haiti, and Agape was bringing my supplies. I was just flying my own plane for transportation.
Weekdays, Command Pilot Norris Brown makes cabinets in Sarasota. But on weekends?
Oh, it's just the Lord's work, and we all try to do it, get as much accomplished as we can.
The treasure and forget about this soul.
A choir of orphans, but they don't ask for pity. For in Haiti, It's a sad irony that being orphaned can be a benefit. Taken in by missionaries, these children have food to eat. Their nutritional needs are not being entirely met, however. They haven't tasted milk for months. Under the embargo, orphanage director Florence Moffett says even powdered milk is beyond their means.
The embargo is hard on us, very hard, because we get milk from the States and food, and we get clothes. And right now we're sort of behind in everything. It's a hardship.
But the shortage of milk can't compare to the shortage of medical care. Imagine one hospital to supply the medical needs of over 1 million people. That is the impossible mission of Good Samaritan Hospital. Every day, a handful of American missionaries attempt to deal with a deluge of misery. But despite the embargo, they've not been completely abandoned here. Every week, help arrives from home, literally on a wing and a prayer. It's the weekly shipment of supplies from Sarasota, Florida, flown in by the airborne missionaries of Agape Flights, bringing everything from mail to medicine to the machinery of surgery that helps to make miracles happen at Good Samaritan.
Certainly different as far as speeds are concerned and the mission, the role of the mission, but it's a significantly improved mission.
An improvement over the missions Dave Hollis used to fly in Vietnam.
It's nice to be able to lend your skills and your time to people where you're really of significant assistance, where you see the assistance immediately. Not only long-term effects, but short-term. When we land, we're delivering supplies that are needed that day. This is really an opportunity to significantly impact other people's lives and to be of assistance when other people don't have the opportunity. We have the opportunity to do that.
Once you've been to Haiti and once you've seen the need, I really welcome the opportunity to use the talents that I have to serve in this purpose.
And one of John Cloud's talents is for flying. Yes, his name is really Cloud. And while his head is often in the clouds, literally, it's because his heart is in Haiti.
The missionaries there have dedicated their lives to being in the mission field and doing what they can to help the people of Haiti. When you see the good that they're doing with the supplies that we're taking them, there's just no way that you couldn't keep doing it.
The weekly arrival of the Agape flight from Sarasota signals a renewal of hope for the people of Haiti, for the cargo hold is filled with help. Missionaries mingle around the aircraft waiting for their supplies. For Ed Brentham, pump parts to save lives.
In fact, the village that we lived in Ferrier when we first came here, after we were there two years and put wells in the village, well, the nurse tells us that death rate on the babies had decreased as much as 33%.
So in a very real sense, these supplies from Sarasota are synonymous with the Haitians' life's blood.
We can't say enough to thank Agape for all that they do for us.
Registered nurse and hospital administrator Joanna Hodges says it's thanks to Agape that Good Samaritan surgery is so well equipped.
All of the operating room lights, the anesthesiology machines, all the meters, the cauteries, almost all the equipment that you see in there was shipped in by Agape. Agape has added a plus to our lives that makes every Saturday very exciting because we never know what they're going to bring us, and it has helped a lot of people to feel as though they're a part, that they can send boxes to us.
Haiti, paradise lost to poverty, political instability, and human tragedy. It is a perfect study in society gone wrong.
We've created a double problem, more or less a catch-22 position. The OAS feels that they had to put the embargo on, but they've stifled the industry of the people. The agricultural projects that have gone down the tubes, tree planting projects. There were many, many tree planting projects going, and now they've cut back down all of those trees that they planted. They had to because there was no fuel, so they had to cut all the trees back. We've lost 50 years.
The embargo has caused one industry to flourish in Haiti today and provided one more reason for trees not to: boat building. On this shore of southeastern Haiti, the hammering of caulking into seams rattles the stillness of a late evening sunset. The trees and villages here hide hundreds of these boats built to sail fleeing Haitians to Florida. If Bill Clinton opens the doors, they'll come.
Because here, if you don't have a lot of money, you can't eat, you can't drink it. You buy water, one bucket water, $5, $10.
So the boat building continues, as does the embargo, which seems to have proven to be just another twist of the Haitians' very meager fate. And tonight, they're still twisting in the ever-changing sands of politics in this poorest of poor third world nations.